Hello knitters, Phelan from Strands Knitting Studio in San Clemente, California. And today I have some classes and a tutorial, so stay tuned. Class is the best class this Saturday from 12 to 2. And this is a construction, so this is one of the few different ones I'm going to do this year, starting with the vest. But we're doing the new construction that most of the sweaters are having now, which includes German short rows. So we're going to work on German short rows and get those sort of down because you're going to see them all the time. I keep saying this, you need to learn how to do these now because they're in all the newer patterns are using them at the back of the neck so that it raises the neck up a little better and it fits better, and the garments go this way instead of pulling back that way. And whoops. So the vest class, it's the vest. This is the hazel slip over. And it's beautifully done. This new construction is really quite beautiful. It's easy to make it look really super finished compared to what we used to do. It just comes out way better looking. All the edging and all the increasing and all the shaping just looks beautiful. Done the way we do it now. So it's really cool. So what you'll need to do for class. So you need to have a swatch for class. And that means you've got your yarn, you've got your needles, and you're going to cast on 30 stitches, swatching, like the gauge says 4 inches equals this and this. You're not casting on those numbers if you need more than 4 inches. So usually 30 stitches will give you that. So you're going to cast on 30 stitches, knit a couple rows, and then you're going to knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row until you've got like at least 3 inches. And then bring that to class along with a top or sweater, a cardigan, anything that has the width you want and possibly the length, but the length, we can mess with the length. It's mostly about the width. How wide do you want this? So do you want it fitting exactly? Do you want it 2 inches of ease, 4 inches of ease? And as I say all the time, what does that mean? How does 4 inches of ease actually look on me? What does 6 inches look on me? So having a garment that already fits the way you want this to fit answers all those questions. So we don't have to guess. So that's what we'll get your measurements off of. And then we'll get you started. So we're going to work on German short rows first, and then we'll get all the math done, and then we'll get you casted on and started. So that's this Saturday. Yeah, that's this Saturday from 12 to 2. The event coming up is bunny season. My bunnies are out now. Adorable, right? Super adorable little bunnies. Super easy to make. Super easy to make. And it's just a square. You're going to come to class with a square. You make a couple little sewing things. We stuff it. We make a tail. And ribbons always help. Ribbons always help. I actually had somebody knit little scarves for them, little thin scarves from them. And it's really cute. And obviously you can make these out of any colors. And you can also make different sizes. Like I sort of have a baby and a mama here. But you can make some different sizes so that they can play, you know, kids can play family or whatever. And so that's it. So this is good for anybody. Very, very beginner. This is a perfect project for you. If all you know how to do is knit, this is a perfect project for you. So this is extremely easy. You can make multiples quite a bit, pretty quickly. And it's just a lot of fun because it's just so cute and so quickly cute. So bunny class is on March 8th, which is a Sunday from 10 to 12. So I totally forgot to talk about the homework. You need to come with your squares already knitted. So you can cast on anything from 20, 25, 30 stitches, and you're going to knit a square. You're knitting all stitches until you can fold it corner to corner and you get a square. And again, you can use any yarn. Just go down a couple needle sizes from what it says on the ball band so that it's a little bit of a tighter knit, but not real tight. You don't want it real tight. And yeah, so you're going to come to at least one square. You can have 2 squares, and we can get them done in class. But you do need to knit your squares up and bring them in. And there's no mistakes. You can't make a mistake with this. So don't worry about it too much. Just knit a square. Next up is a tutorial for yarn overs. So my blanket class had their first lace block, so all this stuff came up, and so I'm doing them a little tutorial. So I'm just going to let the tutorial go out to everybody on how to do yarn overs and make holes on purpose instead of just by accident. So stay tuned. So when you're doing lace, lace we do yarn overs to get the holes and to get the look of lace, because lace is holes on purpose in a pattern, like in a design. And so to get them on purpose in the right places, here's what you do, and here's some of the other outside things that you got to think about while you're doing these things in the pattern. By the way, I cut my finger the other day. It looks really bad. I forgot I was going to do this, and then I was like started doing it. I'm like, oh, I don't want that showing. So I don't have any band-aids here that I can find. I'm sure there are some here. And so I just put tape on it because that looks better than you having to stare at a pink little cut. Okay, so I'm going to do some yarn overs. And this is how you do it if you carry your yarn in your right hand. You throw your English style, whatever you want to call it, but you got your yarn in your right hand. So I'm just gonna knit a couple stitches first, because you don't, well, you can. Well, here, we can do that too. No, we won't. So I knit a couple stitches. Now I need to do a yarn over. So a yarn over is literally moving, if you're knitting, it's literally just moving the yarn to the front as if you're gonna purl, but you're not gonna purl, you're gonna knit it. And when you do that, the yarn, see how the yarn went over my needle before it goes through the stitch? I have this extra, so here's my 2 knits. This is a yarn over, and now I just created the other knit stitch. So that was the yarn over. Now notice that the yarn over is literally the movement of your yarn forward. That's the yarn over. It's not, you don't knit one to finish the yarn over. So that's not considered a knit one. That's not considered yarn. That's considered a yarn over, knit one. So literally the moving of your yarn forward is the yarn over, all right? And then you're gonna knit or do whatever the pattern says after that. All right, now, if you're going from knit to knit, that's how simple it is. I just put these stitches back on, so some of them are crooked. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Now, if you've gotta do a knit stitch and then a purl stitch, then you have to do something different. So let's think about this. So if I move my yarn forward and I'm gonna purl, well, that's what I do to purl anyways. I didn't do anything different. That's how I would have purled, okay? So I wouldn't have gotten the yarn over. I would have just gotten a purl stitch, and there would be no yarn over. So what you have to do is after you move it forward like that, you have to go around the needle again. So you're basically double wrapping 1-2 times around your needle. And then when you purl, you're gonna have this extra stitch right here. So here's the knit one, here's the yarn over, here's the purl one. Okay, and again, if you're purling like another purl, you're going to have to wrap it around again because it's already in front. And there's your yarn over. Now, if I'm going to go from a purl to a knit stitch, let's think about this. So my knit stitch, my yarn's in the back to knit, right? But if I don't move my yarn, if I just go from the purl stitch to the knit stitch, which we do all the time by mistake all the time, not moving our yarn between knits and purls, you get a yarn over. So if I go from a purl stitch to a knit stitch, I just keep my yarn in front because it's already in front and it's going to go over the needle. So it has to go over the needle for me to knit it. And then therefore you get the yarn over for the knit stitch. So there's 3 different scenarios when you carry your yarn in your right hand. So knit to knit, yarn over is just move the yarn forward, knit one, and you'll have a yarn over. From a knit to a purl, if you move your yarn forward, that's how you just purl, so you haven't created the yarn over. So now you got to go round again, and then you can purl, and then you've created the yarn over, okay? If you're going from a purl stitch to the knit stitch, your yarn's already forward, so if you move it back, that's just what you do anyways. So you're not going to move it back, you're going to leave it front, and when you do the knit stitch, it's going to cross over your needle, and you will have gotten your yarn over. So those are the 3 different options depending on the stitch that's following the one you just did. All right, so it's the one you just did. Well, if it's a purl, you have to rewrap it. So anyway, so you have to, mostly you have to start visualizing what happens in a yarn over, that you have the yarn having to move across the needle in order to finish the stitch. So if you've got the yarn in a place where it's not going to move across the needle, you have not created a yarn over. If I go here and I've got a purl, the yarn's not moving over my needle to finish the stitch. It's already in front. So I have to go again. So now my yarn is over my needle before I do the purl stitch, finish the stitch. So that's what you're looking for, is that the yarn, I'm going to knit, the yarn goes over the needle before I finish my stitch, before I wrap my stitch. Or if it's a purl, I can't do it here because the yarn's not going over my needle to purl, so I have to rewrap it to purl. Now the yarn went over my needle. So that's what you're looking for, and that's how, if you forget what, you got to make the yarn go over your needle before you complete the next stitch, and that's how you do the yarn overs. If you're continental, you hold the yarn in your left hand, you get to do the same thing the whole time. You don't have to differentiate. So with your right hand needle, you're going to go from back to front and pick up this strand. Then if you're going to knit, you just go ahead and knit it, and you have a yarn over, okay? If you're going to purl it, you're still going to go back to front, and then you have to move this into front, so you sort of have to wrap it a little bit so you can get to this, because your yarn needs to be in front to do your purl, and then you can purl it. Simple, right? So if you're going to knit it, it always goes back to front, and then you just knit. And I just hold the yarn with my right finger so it doesn't move somewhere weird. Back to front to purl, and again, I've got to move this down so I can purl. And that's what I would do to purl anyways. From my continental, I'm running out of yarn. From my continental, that's how I purl. I push my yarn down like that. So I'd be doing the same thing. So for continental, you're always picking up the yarn with your right hand needle back to front. So it's always gonna be back to front, whether you're knitting or you're purling. You got it easy. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and that helped you out. And I hope to see you in the studio real soon. Bye.